I will never have blinds when I own my own house. These came stock with the apartment. I fixed it. So, Venus and Gemini. Let's just go into this. So this is what would be if your Venus planet, the planet that is called Venus, falls in Gemini in your chart. If your Venus is in Gemini, I bet you there's part of you that is kind of shallow when it comes to love. Not that you are shallow, please, God, no. But when you are not in a relationship, you tend to follow the single gal, single boy mentality of just getting it when you can. You might find yourself in these weird relationships that are just kind of shallow because you don't really care for that intimacy on a regular basis. You don't need it. It's rude, Apollo. Gemini is a twins. It wants to be something and then it wants to be somebody else. And so if your Venus has fallen in Gemini, it wants to be in love and then it doesn't want to be in love. And then it wants to be and it doesn't. But when it does get attached to something, it wants to be there. So you want to be in relationships. It's not something that you're like, oh, my Venus is in Gemini, I don't like relationships. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that you do want it. But when you're not in it, you're not going to act like you're in it. You're not going to be that person that's all like, oh, woe is me, I can't do anything without a relationship. No, you're going to go get sex. Sometimes you can blur the lines between what you want and what's going on. Sometimes because you choose relationships based on spur of the moment, whatever, like going with the flow, being charming and nice, and then you're in it for a little while, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, do I feel something? I don't know. I'm confused now. That happens a lot to the Venus in Gemini. You're not into necessarily making plans with love. You want it to be spontaneous. Sometimes, though, Venus and Gemini might actually have to make a plan to tell their partner to be spontaneous because that is what keeps love alive for the Venus and Gemini. If you are with one and you're just kind of like, and you just want to watch TV every day and have your own repetitive relationship, a Venus and Gemini is going to counteract that with wanting to leave you on a regular basis. You can wake a Venus and Gemini up at the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, and say, hey, we're gonna go look at the stars by the lake, and they'll be like, all right, cool. Because they don't need a plan. They can go with the flow. In fact, that's what makes them feel loved. That kind of excitement is how they feel loved. And so sometimes you can blur the lines between what is love and what is excitement, because if excitement equals love, you're going to get to this point where you're like, wait, was this love that I felt, or was it just somebody who was really exciting to be around, or was the sex really good, or was I just blinded? It's very easy to blindside a Venus and Gemini, not because they're dumb, but because they are just so like face first into it. They're just like, this is exciting right now, and then they don't realize what they just got themselves into. There's a big thing that goes around with the Venus and Gemini that's like, they are cheaters. Not all Venus and Geminis are cheaters. In fact, I found a lot of them when they are in committed relationships are not cheated. But the moment that committed relationship kind of seems like it's maybe not a committed relationship, they're the first to be like, oh, fuck you, I'm going to go fuck somebody else. Or I'm going to go run off to Vegas because you're not being there for me. Venus and Gemini are very curious. They have this childlike approach to love. They want to investigate it. They're excited about it. They want to talk. Obviously, Gemini is an air sign, and it's ruled by Mercury, which is a planet of communication. So there's a lot of talking that goes into a relationship. They're not about to just let somebody that they're dating go off and have them not say anything. Like, they need to communicate. That's a big part in a relationship for them. You can't nail down a Venus and Gemini. You need to be somebody that the Venus and Gemini decides to nail down. And if you come on too strong, you're too emotionally deep for them right away, they'll just run away because they have other options. Geminis like to keep their options open in order to fight that horrible feeling called intimacy with somebody who sucks. They're not about to fall into that. They also need somebody who's going to make them laugh. If you're dull and not funny, they're just pretty much not going to deal with it. And they might not even like the kind of normal humor that everybody likes. They might like really dry, sophisticated humor, in which case that's what you need to be for them. Depending on where their other placements are is the kind of humor that they're going to be into. But you have to be funny. They're not going to waste their time with someone who's dull, who's someone who can't light up a room. They need somebody who's special, somebody who people like. In fact, Venus and Geminis can sometimes like somebody just because everybody else likes them. And then you fall in excitement with the prospect of the person that you don't actually really like, but you can like them. It's all relative because love is not, you're not Venus and Cancer. You're not trying to get married to everybody that you see. In fact, you may not even get married, or it might be later, or it might not even be something that you see in your life, and you might just have long partnerships with people, because marriage is a very, very strong commitment. And if you know anything about love, you know that it's fleeting and it can run away from you at any time. Venus and Geminis, they don't need people. They need fun, excitement, affection, sex, and they need to be adored. But they don't need you. They don't need me. They can find it somewhere else. Anyway,